Welcome to Land House. I'm Seth. I started the Land House channel in 2013. 12 years of video making, 1,400 videos, and at least 200 of those are on the hydraulic ram pump that you see in the creek behind me. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with the ram pump, and I plan on making tons more videos in the future. However, I've got an announcement to make. Stay tuned toward the end of the video to hear what that's all about. All right, winter time is upon us. I'm going to talk about winterizing your pump and actually take this one out of the creek. The hydraulic ram pump is a water pump that does not need fuel or electricity to operate, only flowing falling water. I've currently got somewhere around 5 to 7 feet of input head pressure, and it is running this pump here, lifting water up my hill about 35 feet. So because winter is approaching, I'm going to remove this from the creek, but if you've got a pump and you know that you're going to hit some below freezing temperatures, there's a few things to consider. So the pump itself is pushing a lot of water back and forth, and so you don't have to really worry about the drive pipe freezing as long as stuff is moving. The problem is the water in the pressure tank. So water fills this tank to about the top 10% or so, and then it's got a little air pocket in there. And every time the valve cycles, that water pressure drops a little and goes back up a little, and it's kind of fluctuating. However, most of that water is sitting in there not really moving, and so that's where it freezes and the tank will break and the pump will stop at that point. So if you can cover this, keep it out of the wind and the cold, your pump can continue to run in mild freezing temperatures. If it's going to drop too low or stay cold for too long, the pump's going to freeze. Now the delivery pipe is also moving, but not a lot, so it can also freeze up as well. A couple years ago I was featured, my pump was featured on the History Channel with the mountain men, Eustace Conway, and it was 18 degrees. We got the pump running, and then about, as soon as the sun went down, the delivery pipe froze up, whole thing stopped. So it was quite the adventure. So what I recommend is that the pump be removed from your water source whenever it's going to be freezing. So I'm going to show that real quick. All right, I watched my kids play in this water barefoot a couple of days ago. I don't know that I'm that brave, so let's see what I can do here. I've got a board down here that the ram pump is resting on and a couple of big rocks holding it in place. Move those out of here. Should be able to pick this up now. There we go. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to relieve the drive pipe by unscrewing this valve here. Okay, got that out. Next, I'm going to pull the delivery pipe off of here. And now I'm going to drain the delivery pipe by opening this. It's about 300 feet of pipe, so it may take it a while to completely drain that out. Some dirty water too. All right, at this point, the ram pump itself is not going to freeze. I could open up the drive pipe and let this flow all winter long. That right there is not going to freeze. However, I know that my source doesn't have enough water to keep this flowing at this rate. So at some point soon, it'll drop down and just be trickling out of here. Totally fine to let it do that. The delivery pipe is almost empty, and as you can see, the drive pipe is sputtering, and that's because that's all the water I have coming out of the source. So don't worry about that. It can sit like this all winter long, and this one will be empty here in just a moment. Now the ram pump itself should drain out pretty good. As you can see, it's empty. It'll sit just like this, no problem, through the winter, but if you want to keep it out of the sun, put a tarp over it or bring it into a garage and it'll be just fine. This is a silt filter bucket. It does two different things. It separates the silt from the water, but also allows air bubbles to rise up and leave as well, so that your drive pipe will have an air-free source. So if I pick this up, you can see the water pouring in there. This pipe right here should never freeze because it's always flowing like this. Let me show you how much silt has built up in here. So there is somewhere around 2 inches of silt built up in the bottom of this bucket that otherwise would have found its way into the ram pump down the creek. So now this bucket right here also is a potential place for freezing. And so I recommend dumping this out in the winter time in order to prevent that from cracking. I've got a valve which is connected to my storage tanks up the hill, and this is a low point that allows me to drain my tanks down here and keep the water out of the line as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up and start draining my storage tank. My water storage tank is a 300-gallon IBC tote that I have in the top of my hill. I've also painted this tank black so that the sun will hit it and warm the water up in the wintertime. So the tank itself most likely won't freeze, especially if your temperatures are like they are around here at my house. We get some nights that are in the low 20s, sometimes even in the teens, but it doesn't last very long. Now, if you're up in places where it's negative 50, that's a whole nother thing. I don't even know what to say about that, but most likely drain your water tank and let it be for the winter. But for us, we can keep water in here at this temperature. Also, having poly pipe lines that are black absorb the sun and warm up the pipe, and it has a little bit of expansion, unlike PVC pipe. But since I am turning off my pump for the winter, I'm going to go ahead and drain this tank so that I don't have to worry about it freezing any of the lines during the winter time. My advice for winterizing your ram pump is basically remove the pump from the creek, take out the source, drain any stagnant or slow moving water that you have, and you won't have an issue with broken pipes, a broken pump, or a busted tank. And now for the big announcement you've been waiting for. This is most likely the last ram pump video that I'm going to have here at this property. So for the past 2 years, I have been dating, and she and I are getting married and moving to a 20-acre farm. I needed a creek, and she needed pasture land for her horses and donkeys and chickens and giant dog. And so we have found kind of a unicorn property that is flat land in the mountains. But the creek, it actually has 2 creeks on it, will be sufficient for all of my ram pump testing as well. So it is going to be a homesteading channel with no product reviews like Land to House has had. We're going to be doing fencing, house and barn restoration. We're going to be doing ram pump videos, solar stuff, maybe even some micro hydro in there as well. So I will update you whenever that is available. But it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I've been on this property now since 2013. It has been a great property, but I'm looking forward to starting fresh and starting this new life together. It's going to be exciting. So I'll update you when I have more information. But for now, this is Ram Pumps signing off from this property. Thanks for watching. I'm Seth with Land to House, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Seth Johnson with Land to House. I've got 400 feet of hose with me today, and I'm just going to test it out. So basically this pulls all of the air out of the tube until it stops gurgling, like that. The weight of the water for vertical height seems to be the factor that slows the water down or stops it, but the distance that it travels seems to be pretty minuscule compared to the weight of the water going uphill. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out more adventures, and I'm going to have some more ram pump testing on the way. Catch you later. Bye.